Evening, everybody. How's it going? How are we? Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Busy here. Lots going on. So, everybody, once you come on, make sure you can hear me. Tell me you can hear me. Tell me you can see me. Once people come on and Facebook starts to get on. Hiya, Mark. Can you hear me okay? Just put up a message there to say that you can hear me okay. And how are we all? Good evening to you all. How are you keeping? How's everybody getting on today? Hi, Elizabeth. Can you actually hear me? I'm sure you can see me. I think the screen's working. Hiya, Deirdre. How's it going? Hiya, Dave. Yeah, give me the likes and the loves there. Evening, Liz. Can you hear me okay, babes? Yeah. Hiya, Tracy. How's it going? Amazing haircutter. Mark, how are you keeping, sir? Hope you're in Dublin. I get to see you. Hiya, Michelle. How's it going? That's what I like to see. Those likes and loves, get them up there. Get them up there. They make things easier for me. Yes, okay. Karen, how's it going? How are you? Whew, what a week. What a week. I only got to prepare this afternoon. Usually I'm going through things in my head. That's it. Likes and loves, likes and loves, likes and loves. How's it going? I'm literally out of the shower, like gelled. Hiya, John. How are you, sir? How's it going? Are you okay? You have to come down and see me, John. Candace, how are you? God, you're popping on now. Daniel, how are you? How are you all today? There was a good review request last week for Hiya, Emma, how's it going? So great to meet you at Tranvision that time. We'll have to stay in touch. Hiya, Jade, how's it going? How are you? Tell me where you're coming in for. Norma, how are you? Some nice posts, been following you. Great to see. I love you all talking among each other. Hiya, Mary, how's it going? How are you? I think it was the, I don't know who, I think it was the famous Mary, wasn't it, last week, who said she wanted to do some stuff on skin tones. Hi, Kelly, how's it going? Sorry, mate, just checking in to check out. I will catch up later. That's no problem, David. I hope you're well. Hiya, Daniel, how's it going? Hey, Kelly, what's going on? Good to see you. Well, back onto the floor this week, Kelly. How are you getting on behind the chair back in Hob? I'm sure Akin and the lads are only delighted to have you back. Only delighted to have you back. Are you flying it behind the chair? I'd say you're loving it again, are you? Because you seem to miss it when you're on the road working, doing colour. Yeah, great to have you back. Which one are you working in, Kelly? If I'm in London, then I can pop in. Which one are you in? On from Russia, how you doing? Hiya, Neve, how's it going? How are you? Hey, bro, teaching in Mariah today. I want to carry prepping for Sebastian Cool Team. You gotta love. Okay. Prepping for Sebastian Cult Team. You're prepping for the Cult Team? Oh, bro, they'd be lucky to have you. They'd be lucky to have you. You're in the north, are you? Okay. Hey, Anna, how's it going? Leela, how are we all? Norma, so good to see you. You're such great posts. I love following you. Hiya, Charlie. Hello to you all. How are you getting on out there? It takes a few minutes for Facebook to tell people I've gone live. I was a few minutes late. I was literally in the shower at 5 to 6 because my wife was out doing some doing some special thing this morning, cooking and stuff. I'll meet you for a coffee when you're in. Yes, I'm supposed to be over there. I'm doing something. I don't know if it'll be before Christmas now, though, because we're heading into the November period now. I think the Christmas parties start this week. As I'm sure once the Christmas parties start, the salons start. I don't know about you guys, but in Dublin, people get their hair done for the Christmas season. They don't get their hair done for Christmas. You're going away, like all of us. Feeling delicate, too many cocktails, Elizabeth. I saw that post, Elizabeth. That was some cocktail you were drinking, You wouldn't know what was in. Hi, Judith. How are you? Great to see you on. I first met Judith in the Manchester studio, which is probably one of my favourite places in the whole world. And whatever it is about the Manchester studio, it brings out technicians like Lionel Messi. Hiya, Spila, how's it going? How are you? And after I won the International Tranvision, they gave me, Kerry is, okay, I'm drinking coffee. Okay, you're taking it easy, you're the manager. And they gave me a round of applause after I'd won International Tranvision and invited me over today. And I'd done a few gigs in Manchester, and it is a little bit of heaven on earth. So if you ever get a chance to spend some time in the technical studio in Manchester, so much talent comes out of that particular academy. I have no idea how they do it. I mean, we've had, I don't know, so many, Danny and Mayu, and there's a good few coming up now. I mean, there's just so much talent comes out of there. So if you ever get a chance, You're watching with your Prosecco, good girl. I had a few Pinots last night, and I had like a Tesco's best finest Pinot last night. It wasn't very strong, but it did leave me with a headache, so I won't be buying it again. It didn't hit the spot, and it left me with a headache. Spia, how's it going? How are you? Mary, how are you all? So we're going to deal with a few things this week. We're going to talk about skin tones. Yeah, I just got a headache from it. I didn't get any. Hi Isabel, how's it going? You love Sunday service, Natalie. That's great. Yeah, it seems to be very popular with a lot of people, and it's a good way to get to know everybody in the community. And it's also a good way to talk about subjects that are behind the chair, or to ask people questions and to become a part of the community. We're going to talk about communities tonight because they're so important. And you get to know everybody on the thread, and you get to talk to them, and you become less intimidated, and you're more likely to post yourself. And once you start to post, then things change, and that's when the learning really begins. That's when the learning begins. So I think we've got a good few people. Tesco wine gives me a headache, makes me go back for more person. Yeah, I have to say, Karen, it was just like not a migraine, but it was just like a headache in a glass. And I mean, it looked very posh. You had the Tesco's finest on it and all this written on it. And I was going in. I was a late one last night. Got the complimentary or card transformer. It was a late one going in, and I just like a little bit of 7-Up in it. I'm not a huge drinker, thank God. I used to be, but not anymore. And I usually have a couple of them. They just mellow me out, but this did nothing of the sort. I was just, I don't know. And then I woke up with a headache, so I won't be buying that toxic stuff again. Again, I'm just keeping my earphones on because we're having dinner. That's quite okay, Mandy. I would actually like to put my earphones on and have you guys here, because the family are downstairs trying to keep it quiet. Trying to keep it down for the next couple of hours. And if I could find a way to just go on so that they could run around and make noise, wouldn't it be so much better, But thank you all for coming on live. I would hate to do this without having people on live to talk to, because it would just be so boring. And it's the questions you guys ask me on screen, and it's the way you're talking that makes me feel like I'm a part of the community. It makes me feel like we're actually doing something that's quite cool here. You know what I mean? That's quite cool. So I think usually it takes a couple of minutes. Yeah, that's pretty much, that's the end. There's a good few. Hi Martha, how's it going? How are you? Good to see you on. Angela, how are you? Good to see you on. Martha, great to see you on. You're such a great poster, Martha. You're such a great part of the page. I can't thank you enough for all the support you give to me and to all the other members. You are just fab. And as you said, Martha, last week, you wanted to talk about skin tones. So I'm going to give you my tuppence worth about skin tones. It's just basic stuff though, what I mean? So, but it might help, it might help. And there's a little few tips along the way. Hi, Caroline, how's it going? Thanks for coming on. And then we'll talk about a few other things as well, because there's been a good few posts this week for people who are hitting walls, or who are coming up against resistance, or who are finding it very difficult to get to be as good as they want to be on the page. And I have a few little tips for them that might help them just chill out and actually enjoy the journey instead of trying to get to the mountaintop in 5 minutes. Was in Prague, Wella Blonde Education, and it left me well prepared for from last Sunday. That's very good. Yeah, the Blonde are not too bad. Always learning. We're always learning. I had a few. I did a few because one of my staff members, Rob, was off this week, so I was doing a few of his clients. And so, you're out of your comfort zone because you're doing other people's clients, and you're looking at their formulas, and you're going, that's not how I would approach it. You're looking at it and you're going, no, that wouldn't be how I would mix it. That wouldn't be what I would use. But, we'll go with that. And you go with it, and you get a lovely result, and you go, see, everybody's different. Hi, Sophie. Hi from Scotland, JD Crown. JC, is it? Hi. Hey, how are you? It's amazing how, when you do other people's clients within the salon and you see their different approach, they have a different technique and a different way of mixing and a different way of seeing underlying pigments and stuff like that, that it's amazing how you it just makes you think, I wouldn't do that, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that they see things slightly differently than they do. And then when you look at the result, you're like, technically it makes sense and it works. So sometimes it's really good to see things from other people's eyes, you know, that there isn't always one approach, there isn't always one way of doing things. Hi Sophie, how's it going? There isn't always, you know, so I did quite a few of Rob's clients this week. Probably much to Rob's now upset, because you love it when your clients wait and you go on holidays and you come back and then you have a whopper week. But he's still busy next week, so he won't be too far. Hiya Paul, how's it going? I haven't had a chance to look at your Nico show. Yes, but I'll be looking forward to seeing it. I'm sure it's an absolute whopper show. Great to see you on, Paul, one of the greatest haircutters that's ever lived. And the fact that he's Irish, I mean, you know, it's hard to beat that, isn't it? You know, to have Paul's hands and to be Irish, I mean, talk about lucky. You know what I mean? Talk about lucky. Anyway, so skin tone it is. So we're just gonna go basically through where people would see the four different, where there's four different basic skin tones, and then within them you have people that cross over. It's lifetime skin tones compliments. I love the subject of MCP. Good, Emma. Well, you know, there's four basic, you know, there's light cool, there's light warm, there's dark cool, and there's dark warm, and then there's everything in between. So you have to fill in, you know, the edges. And again, a bit like last week with the underlying pigments and stuff like that, you know, the tone is just the beginning, the tone, and then the texture, and then the focal points, and the skin tone. And so this is just one small part of what a consultation must be about, you know, and accentuating someone's focal points and being able to reduce the pink in the skin or warm up the pink in the skin. Good to see you on as always, mate. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That there's, you know, it's just one part of the equation when you're doing a skin tone. It isn't any more important than any of the other parts of doing consultations. So the way I see it, I sort of skin, eyes, haircut, texture of hair, focal points in the face, eyes, cheekbones, top lip, bottom lip, chin. And then I try to design the colour that I'm going to do based around their skin tone. And I will talk to the client about the skin tone. And this is where it's really kind of important, because you have so many clients who maybe are a dark warm and they want to be a light ash, you know. And you're in for years of unhappiness and misfortune trying to get them to be a light ash when they're actually a dark warm, you know, because those colours will never work with their skin, and they'll probably have to tan up massively just to try and sell them and all this type of stuff. And at the end of the day, they'll end up with their hair wrecked and they'll blame you and go to somebody else and go, well, she did this to me, I can't believe my hair's in this condition, I can't believe, even though she asked you to do it. So it's always good to sit down with a client and just say, listen, this is who you are. These are the types of colours. Hi, Carmen. Hiya, Carmen. How are you? I follow you all the time. Thanks for coming on. Great to see you. How are you keeping? Good to see you. I love following your post in this little salon, Kula Bula. So, you know, when you're talking to a client about, it's good to give her the options of what actually will work against her particular colouring first, before she starts to see hair as just like a hat, which is what a lot of people do. They, even hairdressers, they just see it as a hat that they wear on their head, and that it doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of them. They seem to think it's just something that's completely separate, which of course it isn't. If you can make something that can make you, hiya Mark, how's it going? If you can do something that can, hiya Teresa, if you can do something that can make them look the best they can possibly be at the particular age they're at, and this really comes into fore, I think, when you're over 40. I think you really got to work with skin tones. I mean, you can get away with a lot when you're 21. You know, you can, because you have that glow. You can do, to you, Mark, kiss back, babes. Hi, Kelsey, how's it going? I walked by your store the other day, Mark. I saw your new hairdo. You're looking pretty hot, baby. I walked by Saturday night. I gave you a wave, but the room was steaming because you were making so much money, Mark. You know, you were banging them out, as you always do. You're a terrific hairdresser, and I'll have to call in for an L coffee, but you're at Saturday night, all I want to do is get into the car and get home and have an El Vino Collapso, you know. So Anyway, these things, hi Alan, these things are important. So if you sit down with each client, so we'll sort of we'll go through just those basics, and then we'll flesh it out as we go, okay? So if you look at somebody who's a base 7 above, okay, they're what you'd consider a natural blonde, you know, so they're a base 7 above, and they do tend to have, you know, pearl porcelain skin, pink. I'm new but loving you. Sarah, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. We're all hairdressers, and I'm loving you too, baby. I'm loving you too. I'm loving you too. So their skin tends to be rose. From India, great to see you on, sir. I hope you get something out of this. Thanks for joining. It's great to have you part of the Wella family here, and being here on Sunday service, and you can watch them all back if they're all on there in consultation. See, this is the thing about fake tan, Sophie. You know, it's a real killer. I have one girl, actually. I'll just go into it with you here, and she's a natural redhead, base 8. Like, she's an A43, you know, she's a natural redhead, and she tans up like the colour of J-Lo. You know what I mean? And so we sort of darken her down to like a 6-7. And then we put that all over, and then we do some magma balayage, so it has that look like J-Lo. And, you know, it really kind of works when she has her tan on and stuff like that, you know. But when she takes her tan off, it's not nice. And her own hair colour is actually... Hiya, Claire, how's it going? I'm sure you're enjoying working on X Factor. It's great to see you, and I miss you. So it's great to have you on. Love to you, babes. I hope everything's going well for you. You know, we're right here if you ever need us. You know, her hair then is like, because she's naturally a redhead. I mean, she's so far away from who she is that, you know, every year it gets harder and gets harder. And, you know, hair colours are very unstable when you're darkening on red hair, because, you know, red hair isn't one colour on the head. Red hair is like blonde here, redder here, orange here. So it takes completely unevenly all over her head. It's very difficult. So when I base a hair colour, she's the one I base her hair colour on her tan, and I base it on basically J-Lo. Great, miss you too, Claire. Right here for you. She's a very attractive girl, and I'd imagine if she wore it like a darker red, it would be amazing on her. But that's what we do. We do, like, I think it's a 671, 671 or 471 in colour touch, 1.9, root to point, rinsed off, and then some balayage, 1.7 magma pastel. And now it's a beautiful colour. It's beautiful on her. I'll see if I can find a picture on it, but it's so far away from who she is naturally that, you know, one of these days it's just she's gonna have to work with what God gave her, and what God gave her is pretty gorgeous. So, you know, I just hope that she does, but it's a difficult one. So back to the first base, which is the natural blonde. They tend to have a pink rosé porcelain type skin. They're a base 7 usually, and they're naturally fair. You'd see a lot of these people from, you know, this particular colouring, you know, from Eastern Europe. Fair rosy skin, take blondes really well, and going lighter naturally tends to suit them and tends to work with their skin, so they can handle. Hi Niall, how's it going? So their eyes tend to be sort of, if you look into their eyes, because this is another thing, you can look into their eyes, you know, it doesn't have to be, they tend to be blue green, grey green, or blue or light blue. So, I mean, depending on those, ashes tend to work all the time on these types of girls. I mean, some of them, if they have that real blue, that blue-green, my eyes can look blue-green at times. I hope this helps, Martha. I hope you're taking notes, babes, because I'll forget this as I'm going along. So, because the eyes is very important as well, because the eyes will let you know if it's going to be a bit resistant, because you may find the green-grey tastes quite well, where the green on its own, it can be a little bit, the underlying pigment can be a little bit tougher. But in my experience, base 7.0 up, pink rosé skin, porcelain, grey green, grey blue, blue, very confusing. Not really, Martha, not really. So just imagine a fair haired girl and she's got lovely blue eyes with maybe a hint of grey, maybe a hint of green, you know, off them. it's ashier tones are gonna suit her, so she tends to have that beautiful fair skin. They're just that really, really, really. Hi Ollie, how's it going, sir? Great to see you on. Hope you're keeping well. Jennifer, how are you? So they do tend to lighten very, very easily, and they do tend to take a melt very, very easily as well. So their underlying pigment is never that strong usually. So the things to watch out for are the pink and rosé skin, grey blue eyes, grey green eyes, or blue eyes, or light blue eyes, blue. Not dark blue, light blue. There's a difference. And we'll deal with that in a different subject as we go along. Now, platinum blondes, dusty blondes, ash blondes, they all tend to suit this type of girl really, really well, and going lighter tends to suit her really, really well. Good evening, Elizabeth. Oh, you're on to Ollie there, are you? So, nice base breaks for this type of colours, that if they want to have a base break, it does tend to suit them and doesn't tend to go that brassy because of the grey blue eyes and the colour of that the underlying pigment is quite good to work with. So from a melts point of view, 881, 916, 916 and 106, 916 on the or 881. If you're doing a base break in Colliston, 981, 91. The classic 91 is a beautiful base break on this type of base. 98. My particular favourite for this particular type of base is 91 and 98 mixed together. I just think you get that real nice, cool, dusty, and it'll just bridge it up and lighten it just ever so slightly as a base break. And very easy to base break these types of people, and that they don't tend to fade that quickly, but the key is looking into their eyes. If they have a lot of green in there, well then I would be more going for a melt and looking at an 881 into 1081, because the green can sometimes bring out an underlying pigment that can be difficult to deal with. So the key is to look into their eye colour, and to see that. But sort of blue-grey, a blue, a light blue, they will take a base break really quite well. And the green blue or the blue green, this is helping, Martha. I can see your love's coming up. That's great. Tell me if there's something you don't understand, just ask me here, because it's absolutely no problem. It's absolutely no problem. So again, for colour touch as a melt, 881, 916 tends to be the top two for these two type of things, and for a base break for me it's 91, 98 and 981. Going lighter really tends to suit them. Okay, so that's the first sort of first one done. There's also a good thing to look at, which was mentioned here the other day, is that if you can have a look at their veins, and if their veins are more like mine are more blue, which and then sometimes they look more a base break is using a permanent colour with a very low volume of peroxide, Charlie, to just create a bridge and to give it just a slight half shade or one shade lift. If it's done on the wrong base, it will create brassiness and underlying pigmentation. On the right base, it will just give it a slight shift and a slight lift. And it's quite popular on a lot of bases, and it's quite popular on the page. But done on the wrong, it is a permanent colour, and it will disturb the underlying pigmentation. It will give them a slight regrowth, but it can give them a slightly natural blonde feel. The good example would be someone like Cameron Diaz, who's probably a good example of who we're just talking about. I'd say she has, I haven't looked right in her eyes now, I'd say she probably has like blue-green eyes, and she's probably like a dark 7 or a base 6, and they would make her look, they would use a base break on her which would make her look like she was naturally a base 7 to 8, and then they would highlight around it to make her look like she was naturally blonde. Now, would that fade warm? Absolutely. You'll see it with any of the blondes, Sienna Miller, Cameron Diaz, anybody who's at a certain level of blonde, if you see them when they need to get their colour done, there's always a lot of warmth in their hair, and then they go ahead and they do a base break and it cools it back down. But it makes their base colour look like they're slightly lighter than they actually are. It's been something that's been done by the top levels, 1.9, never anything higher than 1.9, Kim, never. The higher the volume, the more the lift. The more the underlying pigment you are dealing with. Do not attempt a base break if you don't know what you're doing. Do not try, it's not something, hiya bro, it's not something to just step in and do on a customer because you think it's fun or it's cool. You need to learn about these things, and we're going to talk about that tonight as well. That it's very important. Have you ever used a product called Base Breaker? Mark, I have used a Base Breaker. Yeah, I have. I prefer. Good question, Mark. Really good question. I've used all of them, Mark, and I know the Base Breaker you're talking about, and I've used that base break. I've used that one quite a lot. But I do. Hi, Fiona. I do prefer to match my base break on the skin color, the eye tone, and the texture of the hair that I'm dealing with, and then I tailor it to what I'm suiting about. So I'm gonna go in and do base breaks with each, because you guys seem to be very interested in this. So we'll do base breaks on each of the hair colors. So that sounds good. So get a pen and paper, But again, this is a very high level. It's using permanent colors to create a shift without being a heavy tone. It's not something to do if you don't know what you're doing. It's something to do courses on, to learn about, and to understand, and to not just jump in like if you're used to making beans and toast and then someone teaches you how to make chili con carne, you're better to just really learn how to make chili con carne before you stick it on a client. Hiya Leo, great to see you on, sir. I love your work. I'm a big fan of you. Salas, great to see you on. So, very good question, Mark. But I like to tailor it to what I'm doing, because I could do a base break on someone who's a base trio. You know what I mean? I will do a base break, and I'm particularly on darker bases, which we're going to deal with now. On very darker bases, I feel you need to base break, because if you put a semi-permanent on someone who's a base 3 or a base 4, it just goes darker, and you can't see any dimension in it unless it's a really, really strong. Unless it's like a 4-6 or a 4-6-5 or a 5-6-5, unless it's a really strong, warm pigment that's going in there, that's infusing some type of tone, it's very, very hard to see colour through very, very dark bases. And if you put highlights through very dark bases, if they're 6 or above, they can just look brassy against the really, really dark bases, So if you base break a dark base, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but if you base break a dark base really well, you can make someone look like they're naturally lighter. A good example would be J-Lo. So J-Lo would be a base 4, a base 3. She'd be quite dark, and yet when you're looking at her, she looks like she's a cappuccino brown and then has lights going through it. But she's actually like an awful lot darker. Her famous hairdresser, Orbe, was one of the founders of doing dark base breaks, and he would have been doing stuff like that on J-Lo's hair for a long, long time. So there's an awful lot of people out there that that you're just trying to make them. The idea is to create a bridge for your highlights, because if the background color is just, if it's too far to travel, base break will give you a little bit more than a semi-permanent. But you can use color touches as base breaks. I mean, anything with a developer in it will shift the base if it's left on long enough, So that's something to watch out for. If their veins look green, there's probably more of a tendency to be warm, because the veins are the same color. It's their skin that makes it's the skin color that makes the vein look a different color. So if the vein looks green, that means they're warmer because of their skin is, and if their veins look blue, then they're cooler, So you can see mine are blue, on that kind of thing, even though I am just a big walking pink sausage, you know what I mean? Because I'm Irish, and that stuff is just the way of it. So the next one you would see, colour corrections tests. That's what I always do first. Yes, yeah, it's very important, Salas, very important. Can you use Midway as a base break? I'm not sure what Midway is, Marcia, so maybe somebody online can answer that for you. I don't know if it's a Wella product, but again, to pick the right base break and to understand that they will always fade warm. Not like, oh no, they some of them fade warm. They will always fade warm. So if you have a client who's allergic to warm, to base break is not for her. But you can point out to her very, very quickly that anybody from Cameron Diaz to Sienna Miller to anyone that she likes as a blonde has a base break, and it's warm for a reason. And if you look through Vogue magazine today, or Grazia, or Cosmopolitan, you won't see anybody walking around with ash blonde hair who's standing on the catwalk, because that's not what works for their skin, and that's not what works for their eyes. And people in the real world, just don't colour their hair that way. So they use base breaks to give themselves, and they work with their underlying pigments. So go out and buy a Vogue tomorrow, go out and buy a Cosmopolitan tomorrow, and have a real good look through all the hair colours, and you'll see honey blondes, you'll see wheat blondes, you'll see beige blondes, you'll see ash blondes, you'll see cool blondes, and you'll see them based on the skin tone and the eye colour of the person wearing them. It's not a hat that somebody with dark brown hair then thinks they can look like a light ash blonde that's going to work on them. It isn't. Midways and Wella, a small amount of ammonia, has its own. I haven't a clue, Marcia. We don't have that in Europe. So, but I will find out for you. I'll ask Christopher, I'll ask Galini, or I'll ask Nick. They're all doing shows this week, so they're extremely busy. They're extremely, extremely busy, So, the next one then. Hi, Samuel. How's it going? I hope everything's good in South Africa. Great to see you. It's lovely to meet you. Hopefully, I'll see you there now if I make it over next year. Great to see you. So that's the light ash. That's the easiest one to deal with. They always like to naturally lighter, but a lot of them they're not really into being ash. I have a lot of Eastern European girls who are really cool, and they like they like warmer tones, and it doesn't always suit them. So what I tend to do with a lot of them is I tend to use a lot of pinks. Hiya Faye, how's it going? Hiya Jan. I tend to use a lot of pinks on them. I tend to use a lot of Instamatic pinks or Colour Fresh Create pinks. I find that the cooler blondes with a nice baby pink is just beautiful on that particular type of skin tone. That's just a personal thing. I really, really like it on those base 7 above natural lashes. I love a little soft baby pink as something in between or something like that. It just gives them the right kind of warmth, and it doesn't seem to affect their skin tone and stuff like that. Give it a go. You may find that it works really well for you, and that particular client will love it, because it just gives her a new look, but it doesn't stop her from moving away from her, from her blonde look, by introducing a lot of warmth. The other day, okay, did not touch it. Okay, so the second one is the light warm. The light warm. Now, the light warm, they tend to be a little bit darker. They can between 5.0 and an 8.0. Their eye colours tend to be green, hazel, or brown, or blue green, So if they're green, if they're green eyes, at that level, I think the coppers or the warmer blondes, the stroke 7s tend to be really good on that particular eye colour. If they're hazel, I think the stroke 7.1s are really, really nice on those particular colours. And if they're hazel eyes, I like the stroke 1.7s myself. I think the stroke 1.7s are particularly nice on those types of colours. So the colours that suit those type of people tend to be, as you say, warmer blondes, copper blondes. They tend to work better with them, and you'll see that I post quite a lot of warm blondes, because I do a lot of people who are this kind of colour. They're like naturally blonde, but they're naturally light, but they're not that light, and they tend to have green or hazel eyes intensely. Anyone else there? Yes, I'm sure you are looking here. Hiya Daniel in Guam. It says the middle of the night. Have a good look in your eyes, because you'll see a ring in there, and that's usually the underlying pigment. I have a really strong line in the centre there, Karen. How are you, Gary? What's going on? So for me, if they're lighter, these are the tones I tend to go through with them. So you'll see me putting up a lot of beige blondes, a lot of stroke 7s, a lot of stroke 1.7s. or stroke 3/4s or stroke 4/7s on this type of bass. Or if they're blondes, then I tend to do a slightly, I try to do a warmer background, on them. 901 and 871 is a nice melt through a route on this type of color. You just get that 871 feel. So it sort of, or the stroke, the 873 into 973, or 775 into 973. Yours are more than a little bit bloodshot, Elizabeth. You know what they put in those cocktails, Elizabeth? It's not like, trust me, the vodka isn't Grey Goose and those yolks. They're buying the cheapest alcohol they can find when they're making a cocktail. Mine are brown. I love brown eyes, I love brown eyes. Copper blondes, I do a lot, getting away from being blondes. Yeah, if you sit and you talk to them, and you open up a Vogue magazine or you open up a Cosmopolitan and you go through and you look down and you say, look at all these beautiful colours. Not everybody's like silver, and if you do silver, you're going to see every line. You're going to see every single line when you wake up every morning. It's going to age you massively. They do tendency to go with it. A lot of it is our confidence behind the chair of being able to sell things, and we actually don't believe it. This is the thing. Even me telling you now, you are going, oh, that just won't suit her, she won't like it. And we have these fears. So we do need to sort of, as I say, go into the salon, pick up a Cosmo, go through it. Pick up a Vogue, go through it. Pick up a Harper's, go through it. And you'll look around, you'll start to see, God, all these hair colours are so beautiful, but they're not. They're not what I'm getting asked for behind the chair. And there is a disparity there that we do need behind the chair to create enough confidence in ourselves to be able to sell a look that actually suits the client, and that going forward can be done consistently and isn't going to wreck her hair, and is going to look beautiful on her on a Monday morning at 8 o'clock, and it's going to look beautiful on her on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock, because that's what a good hair colour should do. She should be able to dress it up, she should be able to dress it down. It's very, very important to try and if you talk to a client like the way I'm talking to you now, she will get it quite quickly. It's our fear behind the chair. It's our fear that it won't work. And there's certain clients that you just can't change, and you can't, they just want to be a certain way, and then and they move from salon to salon. So, you have the, hiya Tracy, how's it going? How are you, babes? How are you? So, mine are a little light blue with flight rectly in yellow. You're a lizard girl. Yes, you are a lizard girl. And I'm one of the best lizard girls out there, may I add. So a very good example of somebody at this type of hair colour, the warmer blonde, would be Jennifer Anderson, where she always wears, when you think about it and you think about her skin, she's the perfect sort of warmer blonde. And she always wears a sort of dusty brunette, and then has her highlights shaped in a certain way. And that even when she goes much lighter, which she has a tendency to do, she'll always take the gold with her. She'll always take the beige with her, because she knows it works with her skin tone really well. Her highlights are brilliantly placed, as we talked about last week. She has one of the best face frames. We see absolutely huge face frames now coming back in. But if you look at Jennifer's, it's a perfect example of a brilliant face frame based on just offsetting her chin. That it's completely designed for her face shape. It isn't for fashion, or it isn't because face frames are in. She's had a face frame since she was doing Friends. So 20 years is it? So the technique has stayed solid, because the technique is based on her face shape, and her skin tone. Her colour is based on her skin tone and her eye colour. Now, if she's going into her hairdresser, who's one of the best in the world, saying, oh, listen, I want to go ash blonde, he'd be saying, sweetheart, you're a light warm blonde naturally, and this is what works with you, and this is all the colours that you can work with, and that's not for you, because she's never done it. So in 25 years of being one of the biggest, the other day, she was on, being one of the biggest stars in the world, she's always stayed in her box. She's always stayed in that level. As Cameron Diaz has, she's always stayed in that level, and Cameron always has the brightest sections, usually right around her mouth, because she has a huge, beautiful mouth, and she likes to accentuate her vocal points, which is her mouth. So, you look at Cameron, you think about her over the years. she's always stuck with that sort of look because that's what's good for her face and that's what's good for her skin and that's what's good for her eyes. I mean, it's not fluke. It's very, very well designed, beautiful hair colour. You know, Meg Ryan was another one who wore the warm blonde really, really well, and the shag haircut, but always had the warm blonde around her hair because it worked with her skin. So she's a perfect example of a warm blonde, as Cameron is of a cooler blonde, or the lighter ones, you know. So you start to see these people with certain types of skin tone who are wearing certain types of colours, that it isn't just something made up. That's why you need to do your investigations. Don't just listen to me. Go into them and get a magazine out and go through it. You will always find the 1 out of 10 that isn't like it, but you'll find that the 9 times out of 10, these people are sticking with certain colours and certain tones at certain levels, because that's what works for their eye colour, their skin tone, their texture of hair, and that's what works, and that's what will make them look good at 8 in the morning, right up till 12 o'clock on a Saturday night. That they want a hair colour that works like that. It isn't a hat. That isn't something that they put on like an ash hat. Okay, we'll have a copper hat this time, we'll have an ash hat this time. They want something that melts into their skin tone and that is part of their personality. And if you can create that, if you can create a bespoke hair colour based around their skin tone, eye colour, you can charge the proper amount of money for that type of expertise, because that's really, really proper expertise. And you will notice certain people like myself who do a lot of warm blondes, and you'll be like, how come he does a lot of warm blondes and other people don't? And that's down to the consultations and the stuff behind the chair. And I have a lot of regular clients who have changed. You know, they'll go from like a 8807 to an 871 to a 973. You know, they'll go to they'll play around with all these backgrounds and base breaks and different colours and always change it, but they always stay in what they are. This is a light warm, or a light cool, or a dark warm, or a dark cool. And they work in those frames, and that's what hair colour should be all about. And that makes your life an awful lot easier, you know, because you'll tend to attract people who want something that's going to look really good for them behind the chair, and then they'll attract friends who are the same, and they'll attract friends who are the same, and you'll have a really nice clientele based on reality, based on skin tone, eye colour, face shape, bone structure, skin tone, rather than people coming in because you did something mad last week and you're thinking, Jesus, she made your one, you know, she bleached that girl's hair for 10.5 hours, you know, so maybe she'll bleach mine for 10.5 hours. And then you'll want to give up hairdressing really quickly, because the girl's hair that was done the other day shouldn't have been bleached in the first place, because she's like a dark cool, or she's a dark warm, you know, and it was never going to look good anyway. You know, it's never going to work anyway. It should have probably, the key was to show her what would work with her and show her what would look amazing, and then let her go around to about 14 different salons, and then eventually she'll look in the mirror one day and go, your man Andrew, he was right. And she'll turn up in your salon going, you remember you talked to me about that dark mahogany brown? I'm actually going to get that done today. And I see that. When's the last one I saw? I saw one 3 weeks ago. The girl's a doctor in Limerick, and she's a warm blonde, so she would have been like an 873 background with highlights, you know, that kind of dusty blonde or something. They call it bronze, don't they? You know, so that's her colour, that's the colour she should be, they're the colours that she should be. And she'd gone to an ash blonde because the hairdresser had told her that she wouldn't see her roots. You know, this one, let's just bleach it white and then you won't see her roots. I never understand this one, because their skin looks awful, their hair's wrecked, it's in bits, it doesn't suit them. You can see every line on their face, and yeah, I suppose you probably can't see a root. Like, so what? Your hair's horrible, you know? And so she came in to me. I haven't done her hair in about 10 years, and because she's had kids, and she moved to a hospital in Limerick, you know. She's had kids and she's been away, and I'm hard to get and I'm slow, so she has to give up a whole day for me, you know, this type of thing. But she came in and she had that like white blonde streaks, you know, white blonde streaks all over, and it put years on her. And she's a very attractive lady, long hair, mostly wears a tie back, So she's what you call a light blonde, a light warm blonde. So we went back. We did a base color of yeah, it was 973, 903, and 80. And we put that in between the packets, and then we did highlights of blonde or and just 4%. And then that was really that quite simple. We brought the colour touch out quite a lot to create loads of tone. And then once that was ready, I took her to the basins and I rinsed out the pre-lightener and I emulsified, which is rubbing the background colour of the colour touch into the highlights to create tone through the highlights. And the highlights were a zigzag shape, so they were quite streaky. They weren't fine and waved. They were quite shapely, So we did that, and I emulsified and left that on for 3 minutes. So that gives the hint of the background colour into the highlights. It means you don't even have to tone it. You're just using what's there, which is a great chef will always use every part of the cow, and a great colourist will always use what's in front of him. He won't just keep mixing up 30, 40 different colours. He'll use whatever's in front of him, and if that's the background colour, well then you can use that to tone your highlights with, No problem, Karen. I'll talk to you later. So, she was right back to where she was 15 years ago. I mean, obviously it was a little bit lighter, and it looked amazing on her skin tone, and it looked amazing on her. And I've since done her again, and now she's booked back in for January. Or she's booked, so she will be coming to me now, but for probably for the rest of her life. No problem, Jake. You can watch it back. Good evening to you, sir. Good evening, Jake Lee. How are you? Welcome. You can watch it back anyway, So, if you keep people in this box, I mean, because there's so many colours and there's so many different techniques and there's so many different focal points, and you can keep changing their haircuts and their shapes and their techniques. There's so much you can do if you work with the right colours for their skin tone. There's so much you can do within that. It actually, those type of boundaries create true creativity, because you can change the shape of your highlights, you can change the shape of the cut. Yeah, I'm great to see her well, Jake. Great to see her well. So you can change so much around that the creativity is actually even higher, because you're working, it's going to look great on their skin. So again, that's the second one. That's the light warm. So the light cool and the light warm. Yes. Okay, so the third one. Okay, is the dark warm. Okay, so this is like olive skin, brown skin. The eyes tend to be very, very dark brown, or they can be very, very dark blue. You can see this as well. So they can be a dark ash, they can be a dark warm. They can be a deep green, they can be a deep blue, and they can be a deep brown. But they tend to be quite dark bases. And their eyes tend to be quite dark as well. You nearly have to look right into their eyes to try and work out what kind of hair colour the blues can nearly look black. Their eyes are so dark, that type of stuff, and these particular types of bases are so dark. They can be even the warmths are better to be cool warmths, in my particular opinion, so I really like on these type of bases when they have that dark blues. She's one of my twin girls. Okay, Daniel. Okay. Well, the yellow ones tend to be amber eyes. They're the other skin tone, so they're better for mahoganies, Marta. Very good question. We'll go into them next. So the yellow ones tend to be much better as mahoganies, actually. So they're the next one. These ones tend to be no yellow. They've like dark blue, dark brown, dark green. Dark, and if they've dark green, they're better warm. If they've dark blue, they're better ash, So depends on which one, but like they're all better cool, particularly in my opinion. This is where the 6.5s come into it for me. I really like a 4.6 or something on these type of bases, a 4.6.5. The bronze tones are better with the yellows, Marta. The bronze tones I find on with the yellow, with the ones that have a little bit more haze, a little bit more amber. So that's the next crowd. So this is more This is more the violet warms, which the reds really, the purple reds, Hiya Terry, yeah, I've been watching you banging out the haircuts, banging out the haircuts. So they tend to have that, sometimes you'll see somebody with very dark hair and they have very, very blue eyes. You'll see a lot of girls from Eastern Europe that come into us, they have very dark hair and they have very dark blue eyes. And I love a real cool brown and those type of colour girls. I love them like a really like a 502 and Illumina. I love that type of colour on them, or I love them as a plum or a violet, like a 465 or a 565 or a 46. So if they're really, those really, 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 which Wella make the best colours for this. So this is where the violets and the deep reds and the plums. Hiya Lucian, how's it going? Some clients are obsessed with ash. Yes, they are completely obsessed with ash. But as you say, if you just open up their pages and show them the reality, they'll go to about 4 different people and then they'll end up coming back to you and getting the right thing. Hi, Lucian. Great to see you, sir. So these are they can really handle violets and they can really handle plums when they have that really, really dark eye colour and that really, really dark hair. I love I love like a 4465 and this type of girl, or like a really, really cool brown that doesn't have any warmth in it at all, like a 502. So on the deep blue-eyed girls, I like sort of 471 or 502, that type of thing. Or, I like them violet or plum, where the 4465 or the 565 or the 5546. All the 6s, some of the 4s, some of the 5s, they all, I think, look absolutely amazing on these girls. And it's a little bit overlooked, these colours are a little bit overlooked. And then you see them coming up on the page and somebody does a 5565 and everybody's going, oh my God, that's just, because 5565 is one of the most amazing colours in the world. And it comes up the page and everyone goes, oh my God, I love that. And it could get up to like 500 likes. But then if the right base is in front of you, coming back excited, okay, great, what they've learned. Yeah, well, courses are just like that. There's lots of people on tonight. Salis and so 40 something people on. So these particular types of bases, when you see that deep blue and that deep green and that deep brown, they do tend to work really well with plums and violets, and they do tend to get overlooked. People forget. That's no problem, Norma. I'll watch you later. They do tend to forget how good and how amazing these colours can look. So if they have that really, really, really dark blue eye and they're not averse to some type of warmth, give 4465 a shot on that type of hair and it will just send you to heaven and back. It's such a beautiful colour because it's warm, but it's a cool warm. So these are different types of warm. So, so it's like, it's a dark cool, but you can still, the cool can be really, really vibrant. Violets are cool by nature, even though we see them as warm when they're posted on the page, because they're so vibrant, they're so warm. They're just cool warm, and they tend to work with this type of hair colour really, really well. And then the other ones, which I think Salis actually in Salis does quite a few clients this kind of hair colour. Like I'm not sure if there's a lot of girls in Cypriot who have that really big dark brown eye colour, but Salis gets it. Salis gets clients love it. Clients get it. Clients can be educated quite quickly and they'll come back into your chair and ask for the right thing. We just have to believe. And the best thing to do is to buy a magazine tomorrow, buy a Cosmo Vogue, have a really good look through it and see how many unsuitable ash blondes you see in the magazine, and I guarantee you won't see that many. And see how many people have like a set of weaved highlights back to back. You won't see any at all. So you start to see that, the techniques and the stuff that, that are done there and how they're very appropriate to what we do at the moment and how their colours tend to work with their eye colour, skin tone, face shape, bone structure, all those types of things. And if we can work like that, it makes our lives so much easier. So the next one, which is what Martha was just saying, which is the dark warm, which is eye colours that tend to have amber, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of you know, their skin is warm, but it's that warmer yellow skin, you know, and their eye color tends to have a lot more, it's lighter browns in it, a lot more bronze, a lot more amber, and it's a slightly sort of, you know, you'll see a light brown, you'll see a deep brown, you'll see a hazel. Amber I see a lot of. I don't know if it's in Ireland, but we have a lot of amber eye colours in this kind of people. They're very dark and have amber eye tones. And once I see amber eye colour, I'm thinking mahogany all day long. Okay? I'm thinking mahoganies all day long. The stroke 4/7s, the stroke 7/5s, the stroke 5/7s, all those type of tones. Stroke 7/1s, stroke 4, stroke 4/7, stroke 7/5s. All those really mahogany tones look really, really amazing. Amber, that's it. Yeah, we've lots of amber in Marta in Ireland. Lots of amber eye colours, and the mahogany tones just look amazing on those type of hair colours. The 7/5 range in particular, or the 7 range, the 7/7. Like I love like as a tint on this type of base, I like a 507 with a 6/7 mixed into it. No, you don't need any base with that. It tends to cover really well. Or as a base break in those type of colours, if you want to give somebody just a little bit of extra, a little bit of lift, I particularly like the 535 in Illumina. I like the 575 in Colliston. I like the 647. It's a lot warmer now. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be the stroke 6/5 or the stroke mostly Asian. For Asian hair, yes, my area is mostly Asian hairs. Stroke 6/7, Marta. I like that one a lot. Clients get true advice. They find true when clients get good advice. Yeah, like Salas, you do a lot of mahoganies, and again, the Cypriot girls all seem to have those big eyes. And I did one for you. You sent a client into me, and it was like a stroke 5/6. It was it was a stroke 5, a stroke 5/6, stroke 4. You know, it was in and around that. They were all the bases, and I thought that was the perfect hair color for her skin tone. And she was saying to me, I can't seem to get this hair colour when I go into a salon. I end up red or I end up copper, and neither suits my skin. So stroke 6/7. So it's 6/7. So I think you nailed that. I think she really understood her skin tone as a client, and I think it shows how little hairdressers understand skin tone, because she was saying, I like it really. She was looking for a mahogany violet, you know, and all she was getting was a red, which didn't suit her skin tone, or an orange. But she was actually looking for a violet. So she was asking for something really warm, but she was asking for it really warm in a cool tone. You know, like blood is a cool, like blood red. It's nearly, there's nearly a hint of blue off it. You know what I mean? So it's a cool warm, and I think this is an area that we're not so good at, because even as we were talking there and I was talking about very deep blue eyes, we were just immediately jumping in going mahogany, golds and all this, and it's not that at all. It's the violets. And so if I'm lifting, that's a good question. I didn't even want someone to ask me that, Marta, because I can see there being people on the page with problems trying to lift dark hair. Okay, so if I'm lifting the dark violet crowd, okay? The dark violet crowd, which is like the big dark brown eyes, big dark blue eyes, big dark green eyes. Okay, what's my favourite base breaks for them? Okay. 5/7 in Illumina. 5/7 in Illumina is one of my favourites. 5/8 if I wanted to just break slightly bit in Illumina. 6/7 is a nice one as well. It just gives you that bit of lift. 5/7 if you're just looking for pure, to just get some tone being lifted. 5/7 or 6/7 if you want a bit more of a shift and they're not afraid of the warmth that will come off it. I do tend, if I'm doing the violets, I don't base break them. I tend to do them as permanent colours and permanent tints because I want to see the proper tonality and the proper lift. So I do a lot of clients at this level, and I do a lot of 5565. Hiya Danny, I do a lot of 5565, either in Colour Touch or in Colliston. I would do a lot of them, and I would do them as tints in this type of look because I want to see that vibrancy, because the colours are cool naturally. They don't really, it's really not what a base break is. A base break is just to give you a shift, where actually I want to see vibrancy and I want to see a strong undercoat. So I tend to tint them a lot. But if I was going to, and I just wanted to see a slight shift, it would be 57575, 675. Yeah. But I would recommend, going in there. I particularly like Daniel. It's on the thread earlier. I sort of defined the base break earlier on the thread, so you'll be able to watch it back, and it's there for you. But it's just to give you a slight shift with a permanent colour, but will it go brassy? Always. So these are the things that people need to know before they do things, because they just need to understand the science of hair. It's just, you'll see, you had a question there on the page the other day, how can I lighten a 3-0 to look like a natural 7-0? You can't. You know what I mean? You can't, because you're dealing with the underlying pigments. What about dark amber? What about amber darks? Amber darks, what I do in base breaks? Brilliant question, Martha. Brilliant question. My favourite base break on a dark is, I actually love 5-4 in the Colliston. I love 5-4 and 5-7-5 mixed together. I love 5-7-5 and 6-7-1. I particularly like a base break in this type of colour, because I then tend to highlight around it. So you do find with darker bases that if you don't try and make their base colour look a little bit lighter, that every highlight just makes their hair look darker, so they just look blacker. So if you put in No, I love the questions, Martha. I love them. I'm giving you a virtual hug. I love the questions. I love them because they're the right questions. And yeah, do you think so? I don't know. Yeah, my throat's dry, all right. But like on a heavy dark, thanks Alice, on a heavy dark base, bro. On a heavy dark base, I think a base break is a real winner, But again, I say these are really, really, you really need to know your stuff when you're doing these types of things, because you need to choose well and you need to understand what you're doing. And these things are just meant to be a shift. They're not meant to be anything more than a shift. Love those loves, Martha. Keep them. They're not meant to be anything more than a shift, So if you want full on vibrancy, you're better to go in and to do, But I think like 5565 and 4% in Colour Touch is an amazing. It gives the right amount of lift and the right amount of kick. And on the sort of the cool dark bases, I like 5565 and 4% in Colour Touch. I think it gives a cracking lift. And on the other bases, the ones with a bit more yellow, yeah, I like a base break. Hi Lucy, how are you? How's it going? So that's. Yeah, they're really good questions, Martha. They're really good questions. But a base break is there to accentuate your other colour work. If you're doing it on its own as a means to an end, it isn't. It's a stopgap. It'll just give you a slight bit of lift, but it's not going to do anything more than that. People think they can just put it on. That's quite okay, Luce. You can watch back. People are not going to, you don't have to do much more than that. They're not going to do much more than that. So it's the highlights that you put around it and the shape of the highlights and the vocal points that you're hitting that are the very important thing. That the base break is just there fundamentally to either make their hair just look a little bit. That's okay, Heather. I hope you're okay. My wife is sick as well. She's downstairs. She's not feeling well. I think it's just a change in weather. Everybody's feeling a bit up and down, a bit up and down. I'm okay though, thank God. I'll stay that way because I can't afford to be sick. So if there's any more questions on that one, yeah, we'll move on. And this is probably leads into what we're talking about here about base breaks and shifting tones and all that. There's just wonderful ways to do. There's wonderful ways to do things. Heather, hugs to you, Heather. There's wonderful things that we can do out there, and there's amazing products that we can do. Hiya Lucy, that we can do and stuff like that. But I see it on the page a lot lately, where there's a lot of people whose skill set is at a certain level, and they get so frustrated with themselves. Yes, no, she'll be fine, Salas. She'll be fine. She's after taking some paracetamol and stuff. She'll be okay. It's just been a long day, but there is a lot of people on the page, and they're honestly, so they're putting up posts. Are so frustrated with themselves, and they're so frustrated with hair color, and they're so frustrated with their level of skill set, and they. Because I run this page, and because I've been, from day one, I've been sort of helping people, and before that in my career as an educator for Wella and in my salon, I'm aware of the sort of the rules of nature and the rules of life, and when you're teaching people, that there's just rules, you know what I mean, and that that getting frustrated and it's very difficult because you're on the page and you're looking at people like Lucian, who's on here, or some of the guys who are on here, and some of these are some of the best hair colorists in the world, and they're looking at their work and they're going, I want to be Lucian. But it's like looking at a guy who's climbed Everest. Okay, so you're looking at a guy who's climbed Mount Everest, and you've done a little bit of rock climbing. Yeah, you're a decent enough climber. You can climb your local mountains and your stuff like that. A little bit, and then you see Lucian, or you see some people on the page who are the equivalent of climbing Everest, and they get that they want to be Lucian in a week. Okay, now if you're a mountain climber, okay, and you decided that you wanted to climb Mount Everest, you would have to train for quite a long time, Yeah, they're always thinking they suck, or they're so hard, or they get vented, and they get very upset. There's a lot of people getting very upset at the moment, upset with themselves, upset with clients, upset with everything. But if they follow the fundamental rules of this, they'll stop getting upset. If they just listen that everything is built at one brick at a time, that everything starts with a grain of sand. A £100 million business started as a $1, most likely a $1 idea or a grain of sand, and was built up overnight. Nobody has magicked up 100 million. I'm climbing my local mountains at the moment. That's all. It's got I that could mean so many things that I probably know what you mean by it. But that if you are, if you build something one brick at a time, then that becomes a really solid foundation for the next brick, and for the next brick, and for the next brick, and for the next brick. And if you're not able to build a brick wall, which is like to learn how to tint hair properly, to learn how to tint hair, it's quite okay, Lucy. There's been a lot of stuff there on. You'll catch it back. If you learn how to tint hair properly, you learn how to mix colour properly, you learn how to apply colour properly, and you learn how about grey coverage, and you learn about demis, and you learn about all this. And you learn each brick is a foundation to the next brick, and this is just the rules of life, that you have to learn things one step at a time and build a solid foundation to go on to the next thing. And the brilliant thing about our page and the brilliant thing about the community is that you get to see the best people in the world, But I was thinking during the week, like sometimes when people put up just the most amazing pictures and the most amazing colours, and even stuff that I like, and I know the amount of work that they have done to get there, that it is literally like people who want to climb Mount Everest next week. Now, if you got a helicopter tonight and you got a helicopter to pay for you to bring you up to the top of Mount Everest, and you jumped out of that helicopter, you would die, because you are not acclimatized. You have not done the work to go to Mount Everest. You would die straight away because your body's not acclimatized. And it's the same thing to become an amazing colorist or an amazing hairdresser. You must stop at boot camp and acclimatize and get stronger and get better, and then you move to the next level, and you get stronger and you get better and you move to the next level, and be proud of every step. Okay, instead of looking at the top of the mountain, just look at where you are right now, and look, you know, just remember how amazing, how amazing you are at that level. And then the next step will come, and the next step will come. And the next thing you know, you'll be climbing mountains. If you become a scuba diver in the morning and you put on all the gear, you've got to acclimatise and equalise your lungs every 7 feet when you go down. That is just the laws of nature, okay? It is the laws. Being an amazing team really helps, yes, absolutely, because that's part of the acclimatisation, babes. That's part of the real thing. That there is just, there is just rules to the game. You must stop at every 7 feet so that your body can get used to it. And it's the same with huge colour corrections or with huge amount of work. Without the patience, the understanding, and and education is a time capsule. Education, it's like if you really want to climb Everest, if you go to somebody who's a hugely experienced Everest climber, or who's done that before, they can show you a trail to get you up Everest in a year. Okay, if you tried to do it on your own, you'd never get there. Okay, and that's called education. Okay, and so many people are they're there on their own. They're trying to learn everything on their own. They want to do it on their own. They are not giving it the time. They're not giving it the patience. They don't have the education, and then they're getting super frustrated and super annoyed with themselves. And it's not helping them or helping anyone. And really, it's not anyone's. It's just the rules of life. Hiya, Michelle. Love you, babes. Hope you're keeping well. It's just the laws of nature. It's just the laws of nature. You must acclimatise. You must, to stay the course. You must do that. That's just the way it has to be. So the best thing to do, again, like using the Everest analogy, is to find one of the best climbers in the world and get them to train you. Hey, babes, love you. Get them to train you, and you'll learn in half the time. And there's so much online education now. But you still can't be hands-on. You can't be hands-on. I see it up in the Dublin studio. I see it in Manchester. I see it in London. I see it. Hi, Abby. I see it. I see it everywhere. The Instagram pictures are not reality. You know what I mean? Like a Vogue magazine header would be better than an Instagram magazine, even though I use my Instagram. I take out the pictures of my Instagram and I go, do you like this? Do you like that? Do you like that? But they're all warm. They're nearly all warm. And she's gone, oh, I like the really ash one. And I go, yeah, but that's not your skin, sweetheart. You can't really wear that colour. Now you can wear this one. And when she sees a picture of it beside it, she's gone, actually, I quite like that. It's quite warm. And I'd say it looks good. Do you like Jennifer Aniston's colour? Have you ever seen her in ash blonde? No. And you're the same colour as her. Would you like to be Jennifer Aniston's colour? And she's gone, I'd love to be Jennifer Aniston's colour. Even though you came in wanting to be, an ash blonde. You could wear a Jenny. And she's like, yeah, I probably could. Do you think that would suit me? Yeah, it'd look great in a Monday morning, look great in a Saturday night. Boom, sold, done. It all comes from us, okay? And it takes years to have that level of experience to not, in no way, to even have an emotional decision where you can just go, like, this is the way it is. It takes years to get that. So small steps, everything starts with small steps. And foundation and build and foundation and build and foundation and build and acclimatise and get better. Acclimatise and get better. Because that's what you have to do. You have to stop at base camp if you're going to Everest. If you're going to scuba dive 100 feet down, you've got to stop every 7 feet or you'll die. And you can't just become an incredible colourist overnight on your own without any education, just looking at pictures on the internet. All you'll do is get very frustrated and very annoyed and very upset at yourself. Invest in a bit of education. It can really, really help the world being opened up to you, but to understand that education is the only time capsule that I know. It's the only thing that will shave years off your time behind the chair, but you still have to spend time behind the chair with a customer who's actually paying for their hair, because I see it a lot in academies and I see it a lot in certain studios around the world where they're not used to dealing with paying customers. They're not used to taking care of people who are spending a lot of money. And if someone's going to spend a lot of money with you, then you really should be amazing at what you're going to do. And then that comes through education and through training. So this is the rules of life. find a brilliant mentor, work with them, and to understand that, the Empire State Building was built one brick at a time. It wasn't built in a day. It was built one brick at a time. And the first brick is as important as the last brick. Every brick along the way. You ever hear that story about the guy who goes looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and all along the way he finds little pennies and little things, and he puts them in his pocket and has little stuff, and then when he gets to the pot in the rainbow, he discovers there's nothing in the pot, and the pot's there to hold all the coins that he's found along the way, and he puts the coins into the bucket. The idea is that the journey is the precious thing, that the journey is what makes you the amazing colourist you are today. It's the understanding that you learned along the way to be able to talk to people, to be able to talk to clients, to be able to be with people, that you can't rush that, you can't rush that. Hi Sue, I hope you're settling back after your holiday. That it's the journey that makes you who you are. It's the journey that will give you your personality behind the chair, that'll give you the confidence to be able to tell someone the right colour they should be. And that comes through really good education and working with really good people, and to understand that it's just the rules of life. There's never been another way. There's never been somebody who just woke up the next morning and said, right, I'm going to build the Empire State Building. I'm going to start to the top and work my way down. Somebody got the bricks ready and they built it brick by brick. And there's no faster or shorter way. That's just the way life is. You climb Everest, it's the same thing. You go down scuba, it's the same thing. Everything works in stages, and everything's about acclimatization. You learn, you get good, your resistance gets stronger, you get better, and you move on. So there's so many people to not be to not get so frustrated, to see how well you're doing, and to understand that it just is one step at a time, and that you will get there. If you think you know it all, you're dead. Hi Andrew. Body is in Geneva, head's in Bali. Yeah, everyone's great, Sue. Great to have you back. You're a big part of the community. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you on. And that was the thing then tonight. When I before we started this community, I used to always be in little cliques, and I used to always work with little teams and little certain ways, and I used to always love that. I used to love little tribes. I was a big tribes person, and then I just became a community person. I became something about communities, and that's really in the page. I'm so big on community now that I thought I'd explain to you why I see communities as being so important now in life, and where they came from. I mean, when I moved to this area here in Dublin, small steps make us climb Mount Everest. Practice education. That's it, Salas. That's it. You know the way it is. That was just small steps, and that life will go with you, at whatever level you're at, But when I moved here, the bus service was dreadful, and we wanted to create a bus service that just worked and got us into the city much quicker than it actually did. I do not think pre-Lightner has ranged so much. Lightner has been ranged. I totally agree with you, Michelle. I totally agree with you. Yeah, there's a shade chart full of colours, and we've gone through so many of them tonight. We've gone through everything from the 5/6s to the 6/5s. We've explained what each tone and why it works on different types of hair colour. So I hope people will open up the shade chart and see where all these things fit in. But just back to this, where really the day that a penny dropped for me, that without community, nothing really works. That tribes are great, but community is where real stuff happens. So we wanted to get this bus service, and we couldn't get it. So I rang my sort of a local government guy, and he said what you need, and he said what you need. He said is you'll need like 3,000 names on a petition, and you'll need to ring the Department of Transport every day. Blah blah blah. So I started to work on this. Me and about 12 other people. We were just 12 or 14 people, and we were working to try and get this service in to this area. to no avail, really, because we were working. There was only 12 of us, and we were ringing every day, and we were doing this, and we were doing that. I mean, we were hitting brick walls left, right, and centre. And one of the drivers on the bus was aware that I was part of this sort of little clique that was trying to create a private bus service, and he felt we were taken from his job, So he sort of had a go at me on the bus one day, saying that I was trying to create a private service and this type of thing. And he had a real crack at me, And it was a bus that everybody was on, and he had a crack at a few others who were part of this gang of 12, they called us. And what happened is word got out in the community that I live in that the drivers of this particular service were not up for the private bus services. And overnight, the community, which was old ladies, young kids in school, mothers with kids, fathers, kids, they all got behind the 12. They got behind us as a community. So the mothers were making sure their sons were working on this. The ladies that were working in the city, that were getting the bus into town, they started to work on this. The grandmothers told their teenage, cousins, uncles, aunties, whatever, to get behind this. And suddenly you had, within 4 or 5 months, you had a community of people who put the pressure on the government. And then 6 months later, we had one of the best bus services, private bus services that's ever been seen in Dublin. And that happened because of a community. Now, up till then, I didn't understand what community really was. I didn't understand how important a community was. But I had these people who were coming up to me and talking to me on the bus, and they were sort of middle-aged women, they were grandmothers, they were young girls, they were all this type of thing, and the power of that voice, the power of all those people together, was incredible. It was incredible because all these people voted. All these people were, they were the constituents. They were part, and it created a momentum that was unbelievable. And I remember saying it to two of the guys that were part of the sort of gang of 12. There were two really lovely Polish guys who were working on this, and they worked in the city for Dell. And both of them said to me, we'd have never got here without all the mothers and the grandmothers and the community. And that's when it hit me. You should start singing now. Hold me now. But that's when I understood the power of community, and that's why the Wella community is so powerful, because we have the best people on the world putting up their pictures. We have people in small salons putting up their pictures. We have people who are working from home putting up their pictures. We've got people from the best salons in the world. We've got Rob Eaton's crowd, fabulous pictures. We got Heathers. We got all different levels putting up their pictures, and we've got and so as a community together, we all can learn from each other, and we all can ask questions, and then we can sort of learn, and then we can post, and then someone will ask you a question, and then you'll teach them, and then you'll pay it forward, and it works like a beautiful circle, And this is why it's so close to my heart, and that's the start of that day on that bus service a few years ago, that we would have never happened without the community getting behind us, and that's why the Wella community is so amazing now, is because we have all different levels, all different ages, and we shouldn't be jealous of each other. We shouldn't be jealous of, some of the best in the world are on the page. You just post your work, and I guarantee you somebody out there needed to see the picture that you've done. Somebody out there needed to see and needed to ask you that question, and then they get the courage to post, and then you pay it forward, and it really helps everybody. And I do believe in the time ahead that if we're going to save humanity from what we're doing to the planet, you will need the grandmothers being able to recycle. You'll need the kids being able to recycle. You'll need the mothers to be able to recycle. You can't. Tribes, it just won't be enough. It won't be enough. If you have a full town that's a full town of people, a full community that's fully behind saving the world, they will save the world. But if you have a couple of people working to save the world, it just won't work. It won't work. So tribes are gone for me, and communities are everything. And when I see this community here, I'm so proud of you all. I'm so proud of the way you help each other, and the way you inspire and love each other, and the way everybody feels they can fit in, no matter whether they're in one of the best salons in the world, or whether they're putting together their dream, which is, could be just having a salon in their house, or having whatever it is. It's just fantastic, and we're very lucky to have it. But community now is more important than ever if we're going to change the way we live, if we're going to change the way we eat, if we're going to change the way we buy things, if we're going to change the way we dress ourselves, if we're going to change everything. But the great thing is that here we've had the Wella community for so long. Can we have a Wella community party at your place? My house is very small, Heather. I am in the process of buying a bigger house, hopefully, but I don't know if it could hold the 25,000, but I definitely think either at Destination next year with Susan, we could do something with the Wella community there, or we could do something going forward. I just think it's unstoppable. I think it's unstoppable. But that's, some people always say, you're so into your community, you know what I mean? And I was standing at the bus stop the other day, getting on that bus, and I remember when this bus didn't exist, and the 12 of us, we would have never got it. We didn't have the power. It was the power in the older lady. It was the power in the older man. It was the power of the community together, young, old, rich, poor, happy, so all working together with a common goal, which was to get the best bus service for this particular area. And I love my bus service, and I get a chance to talk to you guys in the morning, and I don't have to drive, and I get a chance to look at the page. So that's why I'm so community, and that's where it started. It didn't start. The community didn't start from just hair pages. It started with a bus service at 7:30 in the morning, and I thought you'd find it amazing the way these things create these things, and that we have the Wella community now. And I think the next community will be the community where we put our heads down together as people and save humanity, because the planet's going to be okay. It'll just get rid of us. But that we do the right things and reduce our carbon monoxide outtake, so that the world can heal itself, rather than just getting rid of us. So I thought that would be an interesting one tonight, to just see that you understand why I'm so big into community, and how I used to be so big into tribes. Without this page, I don't think my passion would be. Yeah, I think it's Angela. I think it's because it is a community, and because everybody from all levels can post here and can be a part of it and can be inspired, and can understand that everything they post has an effect on everybody else. So everybody tries to come by, my friend, come by, yeah. I could give me a mic there at the first hair page, and we'll have a serious love in. We'll have a serious love in. But there's some interesting stuff there tonight. Particularly people need to take it one step at a time, one brick at a time, and just learn the fundamentals and get better. And there's so many amazing products out there now that we have, Seal and Care and Service Post, and there's so many things out there that can help you, and that you can approach colour now with melting, so it's not going to break the base, or you can break the base. There's so many different there's so many brilliant products out there that and it's such a great place. And so mind the community, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. And I hope these little things that we went through tonight, because I tell you, I only had this morning, I had a very, 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 very busy week, and a lot going on this week, and a very busy week, so I didn't get as much time to prepare as I would usually get. But yeah, I think these subjects were relative. Okay, everybody, any questions tonight? What are we? Yes, we're on like, as usual, we're on quite a long time. Thank you all for being a part of this community, and for understanding how important it is to be a part of community, and that hopefully going forward we'll just get stronger and better as a community, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. Thanks guys again for tuning in, for not leaving me here on a Sunday night sitting on my own talking to a phone, which I could imagine. You're more than welcome, Charlie. You're more than welcome, Brenda. It's an absolute privilege and a pleasure to to be able to be a part of this community, and to understand that everybody's important, and that everybody's, for clients that digitally enhanced and stuff. Well, again, if you build up, Angela, if you build up your own portfolio of pictures, just show them your own and go, well, actually, that's her skin. You're pretty amazing. Michelle, you're pretty amazing too, you know. But as a community, we can change everything, because communities, politicians don't listen to tribes, but they listen to communities. Remember that. Another great live. Great. Glad it was a good one, you know. Have a wonderful week. Happy you rock magic, man. Thank you, Marta. You're very, very kind. You're very, very kind. I got a haircut, by the way, guys. Just like it. Support my local barbers. I go in and I pay. He doesn't even know. You want to sing it out. You like the haircut? He doesn't even know I'm a hairdresser, the guy who cut me hair. I didn't tell him. Christian was his name. Went to Sam Barber's on Dame Court Lane. It was €30 and I gave him a tenner. And he was like, whoa. You know, he was over the moon. And I went down on Sunday or on Friday night. I got the last appointment, which was at 7 o'clock, I believe. The guys let me go a few minutes early, you know, and I went down, and I've no problem paying for my hair. I've no problem paying anyone who's good at their jobs to pay them to do it. I can't stand people looking for freebies, you know, all that type of stuff. You know, I've no problem paying it. Any of the guys would have cut my hair in the salon if I wanted, if I asked them to. It wouldn't have been a problem. But I like to support. This is one of the oldest barbers, and this guy has an amazing mustache, and he had me done in 20 minutes, and he got a good tip out of it as well. Support your local barber, exactly. And this is a really good barber shop. They're all in their white coats, and they're all like full on. And he whacked through my hair, and we had a great little chat and stuff like that. And it was a pleasure to give him the money. It was a pleasure to support that place. And as I was walking down, because I've got my hair cut there before, there was a restaurant across the road, a local restaurant that I absolutely loved called Honest to Goodness, and that's closed down, and he's gone and he's working online now, I think, you know. And it's so difficult for people with rents. It's so difficult, people creating jobs. So remember to support your local community as much as you support the Wella community. Hiya Jerry, how's it going? Hiya Dana. To support your community and support your local small businesses and your community around you. Okay, so I don't feel like singing out now, but I hope you enjoyed tonight. Okay, guys, so nice. I'll be back next week with another subject, and unless I'm doing a show, I'm not sure if it's this Sunday or the Sunday after, I'll let you know. But even if I'm doing a show, I'll be able to go live and do some stuff for you there, you know. Okay, Marta, love you very much. Salas, it's, you know, it's great that you're all here and all part of the community, and have a fantastic week. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to post, and make sure you put up your techniques and formulas, because they're the things that help people understand why you do things and how you do things, not allows them to ask questions. And to remember on the page that 50% of the page do not speak English. So if you put something in a little comment that you did this and you did that, the person who's a non-English speaker will not understand that you did a bleach bath, or will not understand that you did this and not understand that you did that, and will send me a PM going, how did they get that result? And then I'm trying to explain to them about a bleach bath. So if you can just put the right stuff in the post, and imagine that the person reading it is reading it with Google Translate, and it's some really wonderful person who's in Korea or in the Philippines or in Argentina who just wants to learn how you did something. So just keep it nice and simple. Okay, have a lovely week ahead, everybody. We're getting into the Christmas party starting next week. So once the Christmas party started, the old chair kicks off, and I'll see you soon. Love to you all. So love to you all. Anytime, Sue. I'm right here, babes. Anytime. And great to see us about to hit 23,000. Great. I'm so proud of you as a community, and keep it up. God bless. See you next week. Take it easy, guys.